365 Days of Horsemanship, day 278. Oh, what a wonderful day. The weather is just unbelievable. This is like the best weather ever for me. The sun is shining, it's like a slight breeze, it's not too hot, it's perfect. It's a little challenging for Lawrence because of the Mijas, for sure. And today again, it was a case of working on being where I was able to be without things becoming difficult, which basically meant a distance. And I was able to do a little bit more of my walking practice, which was really good. I am finding it a little bit mentally challenging, not helping him with the problem all the time. I have this fear that, he feels like that I don't want to help him, or that I don't get it, or whatever, I don't understand. But I also think that I've just got to keep focusing on the bigger goal here, which is to help him to feel better about his own problems. And the way to feel better about his own problems is to create more curiosity for him so that he can distract himself with a better feeling when he starts to feel uncomfortable. And definitely I could feel that when I was closer to him, he was much more obsessive about the scratching than when I was further away. Like when I'm not here, he's not obsessively coming to find me for scratches because I'm not here. He's not thinking about it. He's just grazing and doing his best to get through the day. And so I think that's kind of like what I'm trying to remember, is basically just, that like it's only a problem partly because I'm here and I've made it a problem. Obviously, yes, the Mijas are the Mijas. They're going to be here with or without me. But the way that he deals with the Mijas is something that I could impact potentially outside of what I'm doing directly with him. And it was actually really nice. I had quite a few nice moments today. Went for a little slide. I had quite a few nice moments today. And yeah, quite a few good focus changes to the herd and to the environment that I was able to flow with. Definitely this new way of thinking about changing my focus has not only helped my breath work, but it's also helped my timing in terms of how long to stay somewhere. Because before it was kind of like, how long do I wait before I feel like nothing's really changing for Lawrence? Like, how many breaths do I do? And now, and before I kind of had like actually almost perfectly picked 8 breaths. So I'm like, well, he gets 8 breaths and then I'll start moving. But I definitely always had this feeling like that I was somehow, don't know, like not punishing, but again, like there's this kind of negative connotation with like too few breaths, or like it being a timed amount of breaths. Whereas now it makes a lot more sense, because as I'm playing now, I'm trying as much as I can to cycle through my own category changes. So if I'm in flow with him, if I've seen something that I want to respond to and I'm in flow with him and he goes back to his grazing, then I cycle through my categories. And once I've done all my categories, and obviously there's 5, but for me there's kind of 4, because there's not necessarily going to be any learning. I don't wait for myself to do some learning because you can't necessarily always stimulate learning. And so that works out, if it's 2 breaths kind of per category, to be around about 8 breaths. And it feels a lot more organic and a lot more meaningful to start walking again, start becoming distracting once I've gone through every category and he hasn't joined me for any of them. Because then at that point I can be like, now I feel like we're a bit frozen because you've not chosen to join me in any of the categories. Let's start walking again and finding the next place that you feel like you could join me in a focus change. And so that's been really nice. I also realised, it's funny, Jean-Luc Cornille from Science of Motion was here, I think maybe 2 weekends ago, doing a clinic. And I've played around with the Science of Motion stuff kind of a few times across my horsemanship life. And today, while I was playing with Lawrence, I really kind of realised that actually, after all these years, person who needs it the most in this relationship, it's not Lawrence, it's not Mia, it's actually me. Because I discovered that as I'm kind of walking along, that I'm really heavy footed, and I've always felt like this a little bit. I remember my first ever boyfriend, wandering out in the woods looking for rabbits and other small creatures, as you do. And I remember him saying to me, oh my God, like, can't you walk quieter? You're going to scare away all the rabbits. And I was like, oh, this is just how I walk. I'd never thought about it. But actually, I do walk. I do struggle to walk softly. And then once I started getting into that today, I realised that I actually really have to slow it right down to get to a point where I can really walk in balance, where I'm not like falling onto the next stride every time. And that's really interesting, because obviously everything that you do, everything that I do, everything that's in my body language is mirrored and mimicked and has an impact and an influence on the horses, because that's just how life is, right? And so that was a really interesting exercise for me to be kind of practicing that whilst doing my walking practice. It was really entertaining for me, which was really good. So I didn't get bored. And I realised actually how unbalanced I am when I really try to hold my weight on the one foot that I'm on, place the other foot, and then move on to the foot. It's like, oh my God, actually, I need to do some science and motion on myself. And that was a really interesting concept, because I just kind of realised actually that's probably, that style of movement is probably spilling over into a lot of the other ways that I move my body. I'm definitely like someone who's a little bit stuck in like fight flight patterns of movement. Like if I'm going somewhere, like I'm really going and I'm in a rush and I just can't get there fast enough. And that puts my body into all these very like, high stress ways of moving subconsciously. And that's kind of something that I would love to work on. I really would like to take the Confident Rider course, which is by a lady whose name escapes me. That's very irritating. Never mind. It'll come back to me, I'm sure. I'm going to take her course at some point, so I'll let you guys know who it is. Worst name dropper ever. But it's something I really want to look into anyway, is the way that I kind of move, the way that my body feels, the interaction between like parasympathetic nervous movement patterns and sympathetic nervous movement patterns. And yeah, that was something really interesting to work on with Lawrence today. So it was a nice session. It was a really nice session. Then I brought Mia up. I was planning to do a little bit of freedom work with her in the field actually, because she's moved into a slightly bigger field now, slightly bigger paddock. But as soon as I came, she was right up to the fence, wanted to come with me straight away. So I thought, you know what? I'm not going to faff about. If you want to come for arena work, I'm not going to say no. Absolutely. Just go with the flow, you know. So we came up, and I wanted to do some work on my sideways to trot transitions, but the energy was just really off, and I could just feel that she just wanted me to take the halter off. So I did. She had a little wander and went straight to eat some grass. So I started my bouncing, and I was thinking about mounting, and I bounced a few times, and she moved off, and she positioned herself actually right up against the fence, which made it really easy for me to hop on, which was really nice. And we had the most amazing ride. It wasn't very long, 10 or 15 minutes maximum, but it was so amazing. Like we were working on I'm working on how little I can do to get her to move, because left and right is what we're working on today. And often what happens is I end up doing too much, and then I get trot and tense and tightness, and I actually don't need to do that much. It's just actually partly because I'm doing too much. And she should be able to deal with that, obviously. Me doing more of a cue should mean I get more of a cue rather than her running away from it. But also, actually, if there's a way that I can do less and get the desired result, then actually that's what I should be repeating. And that with time, the clarity with time, I can actually build that up into bigger and bigger cues. So that was really nice. It was really nice. I think I'm still, again, it's funny actually, the focus today with both Mia and Lawrence, really understanding that actually I need to look at myself rather than being so obsessed with them. Like, it's like I'm constantly fixated on how is it for them? What can I fix for them? What's happening for them? What's happening with them? And actually, excuse me, still coughing. And actually, what I need to think about is what's happening for me, because that's actually at this point now how I become a better partner. So I really need to start holding up my end of the bargain, thinking about myself and trusting them to think about themselves so that we can work together. So it was really great. It was just really great to practice all of that. She had loads and loads of yawning, which was so nice. Loads of blowouts. She was just so not stressed while I was riding her, which is just amazing. Like, that for me is like the peak. Like, there were some lovely moments where we were able to do this or that, whatever, but honestly the peak for me was just being able to hop on bareback, bridleless, and just mooch about, and just be able to just, if the stress comes up, be able to bring it down and just feel her become less and less stressed throughout the ride. Was just so good. Like, that to me is like such a positive association that she's building with being ridden, which is exactly what we need. So that was really nice. And then then she wanted to have a nap, and so I just started napping with her. Then I sat down, had a little lay down, had a little nap in the sunshine with her. It was just the best. It was blissful. The weather was amazing. It was exactly the right temperature. I wasn't too hot, wasn't too cold. The wind was just right. Everything was just peaceful, and we were just having a nap together, literally like a little herd. And yeah, it was absolutely idyllic. Really, really, really beautiful today. So yeah, on top of the world, really. Gotta go home now, make some dinner. And I feel really just energized after the session. Mentally, it was just really amazing. And yeah, it's really nice, I think, to feel motivated. I think that's one thing, again, that I've really taken out of Elsa's is being motivated to come back and do the same thing again the next day, which is really nice. Like, you know, historically I've gotten bored so easily, and I do still need quite a lot of variety, but I'm much more able to allow myself to flow with variety now, and I don't like put pressure on myself to do something that I don't really want to do. And then because of that, I feel more excited to come back and do the same thing every day. It's literally, you know, it's like reverse psychology. It's crazy. So yeah, super day today. Really, really, really happy.